Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Raynday Gaming. My name is Raynday and I want to talk about Inara today and talk a little bit about her ultimate and talk about some of these very interesting comments that people have been making. First off, I think if we want to talk about walls, let's just get clear. Inara was not based off of any video game character. She was based off of Trump, okay? It's obvious. If you see the relation, the wall is just so simply built. She's going to make the flankers pay for it. I mean, that is just standard. If you think this was copied from any other game, you're wrong. This is a direct Trump copy right here, inspired by the one and only. All right, but joking aside though, Inara has been met with a lot of excitement, a lot more excitement than I actually anticipated for some of the, in terms of like just the early responders from comments on YouTube, from Twitch chat as well during the live reveal, and I'm really excited about that. I think Inara is going to be very fun. I played her. She's very, very strong. One of the things though that I did want to talk about was her ultimate. A lot of people saw that her ultimate was a little bit unimpressive in their eyes, and I want to talk about why that is and why that's not. So I think when you talk about a casual audience, when you talk about the perspective of just somebody who's going into the game and wants to play a champion, a lot of times we see damage and flanks get picked up more so than tanks and supports for one reason and one reason only. People like doing damage. That is just the case. You pick a shooter to shoot things, and typically if you have a flank or a damage, they will shoot things better than a tank or a support. Inherently, cool flanks and cool damage champions get more hype than cool tanks. That's typically just the case in most video games, and you could relate that to especially the high-res community, where a really cool, unique, very fun god like Kuzenbo came out that I really enjoyed, but just was not treated with as much hype as maybe a counterpoint in an assassin or a mage role was. And I think this contributes to the fact that people just love doing damage in FPS shooters, and I think that also leads to why Inara's ult may have seemed a little bit underwhelming to some of the viewers. Truthfully, Inara's ult does an incredible thing for your team, and that is an AoE stun that is huge. It is as big as Sky Smokescreen, but it happens in a globe, essentially above her, underneath her. If you throw it and you hit a wall that's above somebody, you are going to stun a huge radius of people, and that could be absolutely massive. That could turn a team fight. That could be the difference between winning and losing, yet people were underwhelmed. Why is that, you say, Raynday? Why would I be underwhelmed with such an overpowered ability? And why would an overpowered ability not be considered overpowered? Well, I don't think it's overpowered, and that's a good thing, but I do think it's really strong, and people aren't understanding that because their assumption is that because it only does 200 damage, it is not a strong ult. Now, this is completely false logic. This is very, very important to understand. I want to walk you through why the 200 damage is not important here. First of all, when you talk about different roles, like frontliners, like supports, like tanks, like damage champions, they all do different things on the battlefield. Your frontline is supposed to do damage, but he's not supposed to do as much damage or have as much clean up kill potential as a flank or a damage champion. That's just the way it goes in terms of design. That's how things stay balanced, and you understand the purpose of the roles when you pick one in the game. If Inara's ult did 8,000 damage, she should be a damage champion. She should not be a tank. And therefore, I think we start to look at when some numbers don't match up with your perception of what should be, but they do match up with the role of the champion. People out there wanting to get hyped about a brand new champion and say, oh man, the damage is nuts, can't wait to use it and pentakill everybody, are forgetting the most important part. That her role is not about doing damage. This is an added bonus. Her role is about controlling the pace of a fight, and a huge AoE stun like that, topped off with her slow, with her potential cripple, with her wall, and with all of the defenses that she can create with Earthen Guard, and the very, very good damage on her weapon, Stone Spear, combined to create an incredibly strong force in the realm. And that to me is what makes Inara so strong. The synergy in her kit, the control that she has as a potential for her when she goes into battle, but also the AoE stun. I mean, imagine almost a guaranteed Grumpy Bomb that you could hit onto a team when you needed it. I personally think Grumpy Bomb, one of the strongest abilities in the game. Hands down, this skill is amazing, and a 3-second stun, I mean, that's GG in most team fights. And it also does 800 damage, which is really good as well. He's in the damage class, so that makes a lot of sense. But really, it's the stun that messes you up in an FPS. Now, The reason Grumpy Bomb is not considered so OP, is not the bane of everyone's existence, why we don't see on the patch notes in the feedback cries and screams for nerfs on the Grumpy Bomb, is because it's very counterable. In fact, it's so counterable that you can counter it not only with resilience and making it only a half a second stun, but actually countering it with just moving your body. Being aware and having good positioning is the easiest and best counter to Grumpy Bomb. It's the easiest and best counter to Sky's ult, and that's why Sky has to be a very good Sky to take advantage of it. That's why a Grumpy Bomb from a very good Bomb King will be effective, but from a Bomb King who's maybe not cornering his opponents, not aware of the specific scenarios that are taking place. If it's overtime, that Grumpy Bomb and everyone has to stay on the point is going to be so much more valuable than if it's, 0-0 on the objective and everyone can just run away and continue fighting to try and get an advantage elsewhere. So this leads me to Inara's ultimate, which is very much the same effect as a Grumpy Bomb, a 2-second stun, a 200 damage, much less, but again, that same devastating stun, which has a ton of follow-up potential, not only by her but her teammates in an FPS shooter, but the fact that it can be so controlled and so executed by Inara herself. I think that's where this gets its strength. Inara as a player has the opportunity to peek and to know when someone is vulnerable, when a 1v1 is tilting towards the enemy and not her teammate, or when the point fight needs to do something to shift it back in their favor. And that is when she can ult and take great advantage of her aim and her execution as an individual player to make sure that the enemies feel the punishment of her ultimate. Now, some other comments aptly pointed out that, of course, Raynday, you can just easily use resilience too, which is admittedly becoming more popular. I actually made a video on it for the main Paladins game channel called Item Highlights. If you don't know the items, that's a great thing to subscribe to the main channel for, because that'll be talking you and walking you through what those items are useful for. But anyways, resilience becoming more impactful in the meta, which reduces the duration of crowd control and reduces the impact of knockbacks on you, means that you can get Inara stun with resilience 2 to about a 0.8 second stun, which again is almost like a resilience 3 for a Bomb King, close to a second, but a little bit less. You're not going to feel the impact as much. Now, does that mean Inara's ultimate is not effective? No, here's why. If Inara makes an enemy team pick up resilience instead of Haven or blast shields, you have done a great service for your flankers and your damage dealers. They already have a huge advantage in the fight by not getting mitigated by up to 20% for the damage they're doing. Yes, you're getting mitigated, but you're not there for your damage. You're there for your CC and your setup, and honestly, you've already created an issue for the enemy team. Now, imagine if they have a Makoa or somebody like a Fernando as well to deal with, and they've got to say, well, dang, should I take the Haven to try and mitigate some of the Makoa pressure? Should I take the blast shields to mitigate some of the flame lance pressure that Fernando's going to be on? He's playing more of like a flank Nando. Or do I go for the resilience to mitigate the stuns that are going to be coming out and the slows coming out from Inara? They have meaningful decisions and they cannot do everything, and it already puts them in a lose-lose situation, right? Either way, somebody's not getting mitigated, and that's a huge strength for the enemy team. It's basically like saying, okay, we have a Victor, a Tyra, a Sha Lin, and my next champion, and a tank, and my next champion is a Cassie. No, if you actually take a Drogos or an Eevee, somebody's gonna win. Somebody's gonna have a big advantage in that game, because then either your Tyra, your Victor, and your Sha Lin are not mitigated because you bought blast shields, or your Eevee or your Drogo, some of the biggest damage dealers in the game, are going to be not mitigated because you've gone for Haven. Either way, someone on your team wins, and that is the benefit of Inara bringing such a powerful, a potent stun to the battlefield, that if you go for resilience, well, you're going to get bit somewhere else, and that's going to help her team overall. She also brings inherent value in Bulldozer, and this isn't what this video is about. It's more about the ultimate. Where's the value? What does it provide? But Bulldozer is very important in terms of countering Inara. In terms of countering her Warder's Field, which is the slow or potential cripple with the legendary. In terms of countering Impasse, which is her wall, right? And taking that down quickly and making sure she can't control the pacing or shield her or teammates. It's very, very important in just slowing her pace down, making sure that she's not as effective as she wants to be. And if you don't take that, well, she's going to be in your face, and it's going to be hard to get those walls and those deployables down. And if you do take that, then that means you're not taking Cauterize or Wrecker. So if the team has a Ying, if the team has a Fernando or a Torvald and Inara, what do? I mean, you gotta let one be themselves, right? You gotta let one just kind of run free and be unmitigated. Or maybe your team now doesn't have wide healing coverage on Cauterize. Maybe they don't have wide Wrecker coverage on Torvald. So it boosts Torvald, it boosts your Ying. or it boosts your Inara. And those are the decisions that I think are so important. People understand that Inara will be forcing casual players to make, will be forcing professional players to make, and why I think she's so valuable in this upcoming meta. I think the first team to really use Inara well, to get good with her, and to maximize what she brings is gonna do well. Like, I honestly think that Inara can be a game changer in this meta, can be a game changer in the realm, and I'm very, very excited, not only just for that, but for her ultimate and what it brings, and the decisions, if you do want to counter it, that it brings to enemies, and the openings that she provides naturally as a result of that to her friends and allies on her team. And so I think we got caught up in the only 200 damage number when you don't realize all the actual benefits just having that ultimate, having the pressure of that ult, having the pressure of that stun forces you to deal with. It's kind of like Pip, right? You know, having a Pip on your team with his explosive flask, with his ultimate, you know, there's a pressure immediately to maybe buy resilience. Same thing for Torvald. Like, maybe I'm gonna go resilience here. Those are meaningful things. That's a power inherent to that champion that makes the enemy team second guess themselves, split up, and not be a fully focused, fully coordinated squad that's just murdering you and your allies. And I think Inara definitely brings that element to the table. And the 200 damage to me is negligible. It's more of the CC component that I think is really valuable, and the decisions that enemies have to make around it. So I know we spent a lot of time talking about this today. I did want to bring this up. I did want to you know, address kind of the concerns and some of the thoughts and weigh in on the subject as well, because I personally really think the ult is strong and think it's one of the most fun ults in the game to do, not only from an animation style, but it just feels very satisfying to land that stun and impact the fight that way, and it gave your teammates a chance to follow up and to just surprise enemies when they're not expecting it. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. I want to know, are you on the side of, hey, 200 is a little bit low of a damage number? I'd like to see that picked up to 300, 400, 500, 600. What do you want to see with the ult? Do you think it's perfect as it is? Are you just speculating because, of course, you haven't even played her yet, like most people? And, you know, we love to speculate, right? That's what our job is here on YouTube. That's what our job is here on Reddit and in the casual community, right? We love seeing things, talking about whether we think it's strong or not. That's what makes this game great. That's what makes this community great. Keep on with the speculation. I want to hear your best speculation in the comments below. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you did, leave a like. If you did enjoy it, leave a like. If you didn't, let me know why in the comment section below. And subscribe if you want to stay tuned for more. 31 and 31 videos in March, so stay tuned for some more content from Raynday Gaming. And as always, remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and I'll see you all next time.